Good morning, everyone. We'll give folks just a few seconds to get on. We're hosting a class today down in Florida. I'm located in right outside of Scranton, PA today. We have Amber in Philly, Jennifer in LIC, and Danielle, I didn't get to ask you where you're tuning in from.
New York. I'm
New
in
York.
the office today.
Okay. So she's in the office. So it looks like Ms. Schaefer is here, but we're going to take a trip down south and head out to Florida, where there's warmer weather, but not as warm as I'm sure they want. So we're going to kick it off, Ms. Schaefer, and then feel free to come in and bring in some questions as you don't feel like you are interrupting us by any means. But just to give you a sense, we are Booker Middle is a middle school, and we're with 7th graders or 8th graders right now, but we will be meeting both classes in our time. So for those of you who are not familiar with career hours, CFES career hours, this is an opportunity for scholars to hear about different careers and different paths that folks can take, especially if you're a student, you're thinking about, in the next 4 years, what are things that I should be thinking about? How do I prepare myself? Or simply, what are jobs that I didn't have a clue existed? That's the beauty of this, right? We want to expose you all to different opportunities so you can be thinking about your future in a different way. Sometimes we limit ourselves and think about jobs based on who surrounds us. So this is us expanding your network, right? And putting you in front of folks who may have similar backgrounds as you, may not, but you can learn a lot from them. In today's session, we're going to focus it on human resources and recruitment. And I'm really excited because, you don't often hear about human resources and recruitment, even though they work very closely together. So with that, what I'm going to ask our panelists from TransPerfect is to introduce themselves, tell you a little bit about who they are, and then we'll jump in right on questions. So Amber, take it away. Amber, your audio is cutting out again.
I was muted. That's the problem. Can you see the slideshow?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'll let everyone kind of introduce themselves as the slide comes up, and then we can jump into your questions and all of that good stuff. So up first, Jen, you want to go ahead and do an intro? Jen, are you there?
Jen? Sorry, I was muted. So should I just run through my bullets?
Yeah, just a quick intro.
Okay. So my name is Jennifer. I studied biological anthropology in school. I thought I was going to go ahead and be a doctor. But then I decided I wanted to do elementary education instead. Actually, my parents decided that they wanted me to take that career path. So I became a teacher and I taught for about 4 years for the New York City Department of Education. And then I transitioned out of the classroom setting and I entered the corporate world and I started work in human resources. It started off as an admission counselor in college, and then I grew into recruiting and career affairs and all the other areas of human resources, like onboarding and working with benefits and policies. And I absolutely loved it. I have 2 pups. One passed away, God rest the soul. And I am married to a police officer and I'm a huge wrestling fan. And I have a black belt in Shotokan martial arts. So that should sum it up. I think the only thing that I left out was I love cheese. I can eat cheese like all the time. but yeah.
Wow. Okay, so don't mess with Jen. Danielle, you wanna intro yourself.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Danielle. I started off doing psychology in college, and then I started a business administration minor. I actually found a corporate job with TransPerfect right after graduating college, so I've been with TransPerfect ever since. I'm actually coming up on my 5 years this year, so that's a little daunting. But yeah, I've started as an HR assistant. I'm an HR associate now, and I've kind of been learning all the ins and out of HR, onboarding, offboarding, trainings, employee relations, and I've been really enjoying the journey. In my free time, I live in New Jersey, so I love to go to the beach when it's in the summer. I love to go shopping, and I have a pup as well. So hopefully maybe me and Jen can, have a pup party. But yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Awesome.
Yep.
And then I'll intro myself. So I got my bachelor's in vocal performance with a concentration in opera. Thought I wanted to be an opera singer, and then in college fell in love with being in college. So I got a master's in higher education admin. And I started my career there, working in career advising and residential life, which is all things that you will learn about should you choose to go to college after high school. I worked with executives as a career coach for CEOs and vice presidents, people that were much further along in their job. And then seeing the kind of disparity in cost for things like career coaching services, I started my own pro bono coaching practice in 2018. It's called the Queer Career Blog, and it's for queer identified job seekers. We face a few different challenges, so it's definitely been an amazing experience to get to work with such wonderful people. And then in 2019, I joined TransPerfect as a talent management specialist. And I'm currently based in Philly with my wife, puppies, and we have twins on the way. So a lot going on in my world. And Lizzie's not jumping on this call, so I will skip her slide and stop sharing, and we can go into whatever Manny wants to do next.
That's wonderful. I feel like I can have different connection points with each of you, which is awesome. So let's dial back a little bit about, when you started your career, and some of you started somewhere else and are doing this now. Can you maybe share with us how you first found out about TransPerfect, and then we'll work a little backwards as to what led you to that career change, what you think helped you prepare for a career, both in what you started and where you are now, because we do talk a lot about kind of the essential skills, one of them being agility, and I think this lends itself really well to agility.
Sure thing. I can go first. So I started in higher education. I really thought I wanted to be like a dean of students at a college. But what I found was that I liked helping people in their career more than I liked worrying about what classes someone takes, or whether or not someone likes their roommate. And those situations were not what I wanted to do every day. So I had been a career advisor and would help students with their resumes and kind of figuring out their next steps. And that's what led me into career coaching as a career for a little while. So I was a career advisor, like I mentioned, for the different CEOs and vice presidents, people who, when they get fired, there isn't always or when they lose their job, there isn't always another job they can apply to, because CEOs, you don't just apply to be a CEO. And so I liked that, but at the same time, like I mentioned, there's a disparity in terms of who can afford those services, and so wanted to be able to give back. And I also wanted to change things within an institution. I wanted to be someone who could provide jobs for people, or could help someone kind of puzzle out their career path and say, I did this, and this, but I don't know how to make that work on my resume. And so I kind of had to infiltrate on the back end. And so I decided to become a recruiter, and that led to a talent management position where I get to kind of do both. So I work on DEI initiatives and affinity groups and employee engagement, things like that. But then I also get to recruit and help people start their career path. And so it's been very fulfilling. And I found TransPerfect just kind of on LinkedIn. I was applying to jobs and happened upon it. And I had never heard of it before. And didn't even think about kind of the services that we offer, because I come from a place of privilege where everything's always in English, and I'm able to understand it. So I really kind of got behind the company's mission, and there's just such a focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion at the company. And so I wanted to be a part of that. And so ultimately I joined, and I don't plan on ever leaving. So you'll have to bury me at TransPerfect.
I guess I can jump off of that. Yeah, when I started my journey at TransPerfect, I didn't realize how much of a reach we have globally. And I think that's a great point to Amber, where we are able to provide so many languages to in other countries in America. Like, I didn't realize how much translation was like such a big deal, and like the industry is so big. So I think that's a learning thing that I'm still learning about TransPerfect. But in college, I really thought I was gonna go to grad school to kind of pursue like research. And then as I started figuring out everything my senior year, I really didn't want to do research. And I was like, what can I do? I know I like to help people. I know that I like talking to people and guiding them. So I ended up finding an internship in our career center at school. And I was able to figure out like, oh, I like talking to people. I helped recruit. I helped review their resumes and kind of helped other students get their pathway into the real world. And then I started looking for jobs, and I found TransPerfect. Also, like Amber had no idea that this company existed, and figured out like, oh, well, I can start as an HR assistant and start from there and kind of learn as I go along and see what I like about HR, what I don't like about HR. And then now I'm 5 years into my HR role, and I think I've learned a lot under the sun with TransPerfect. I've also been able to help out with a lot of the diversity and inclusion initiatives that we've started. So I think I'm able to work with others and learn more about how to grow. And I'm very still early into my career, so who knows what is in store for me down the line. But as long as you know what you like and what you don't like, and you're passionate about, what you do, then you'll be good to go. That's all you need, really.
Alrighty, I guess I'll go next. So I loved teaching. I loved interacting with my students, but there was a point where I knew I always had just this curiosity of being in the middle of New York City, because I've always loved my city, and I wanted to be a part of the hustle and bustle, the commuting, as daunting as that sounds. I wanted to work in just an office corporate setting, and I felt that I would be doing myself a disservice if I did not at least try. I think it's very important for students to know that you have to really experience something in order to get just the full feeling and formulate a holistic opinion about it. So you can study it in school, but I feel like until you're in that field, you don't really get to fully experience it. So I highly encourage you guys to take part in any internships, volunteering opportunities that you may come across, or just observing. If you're able to physically observe someone in action in their just in their role in their career. I know we're in polarizing times right now with COVID, but it wouldn't hurt to ask if you can virtually observe. So I felt like that was just a big turning point for me, because I realized that, hey, you know, I want to I want to be in Manhattan, and that's exactly what I did. And I moved into HR because I felt as though my skills as a teacher were they were transferable. So I can still use them in human resources, utilize them to help people, to guide people, to speak. It's very important to be able to publicly speak and be articulate, and just in my writing skills and my presentation skills. And so once in human resources, because I didn't even know what that was when I was in college, once I jumped into it, I started learning about all the avenues and all the different routes that you can take while you're in that field. And at TransPerfect, what I feel is so special about it is that we're surrounded by a very supportive group, supportive of teaching, learning, and growing, and also just being supportive in the sense that you can turn to each other if you need help with something, if you need to vent about something. And so that was really important to me. And while at TransPerfect, I've been recruiting so many different people from so many different walks of life and different fields. And I'm still learning as I go. And I think that's one of my favorite things about it. I'm learning more about the tech world. I'm learning more about just compliance. I'm learning more about translations, and even about human resources, the business side, accounting. There's just so many new things that you can learn every day. And that's what really makes me look forward to going to work the next day. And also, I work with an awesome group of people, and we report to an awesome boss, which is the cherry on top. And if I can encourage you guys to do anything, it would be to always keep an open mind and to realize that learning never stops. And I feel if you keep that in mind, you can set goals and eventually reach those goals, and then set new goals and just set yourself up for success. So that's what I'd like to say.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you, each of you, for sharing that. So I think a good segue would be, we have a question from the students. What do you do on a daily basis? And obviously every day I'm sure looks very different. But can you maybe give us what are the most common things that you're doing on a daily basis for your roles? Talking
a lot to people, whether it's your colleagues that you need to communicate with in order to get a certain project done, or if it's a candidate who you're trying to interview. We say first we source them, which means we need to find them, and then when we find them, if it's someone that we find fits the just the criteria of the role we're looking to hire for, then we need to speak with them. So speaking with just so many different people, again, I'm going to say you learn so much, and I enjoy having those conversations. Whether it's candidates we move forward with or not, I feel like you can always take something away from each conversation that's had.
Yeah. So I do a lot of recruiting in my day to day. So like Jen said, we post jobs on the internet and then people apply to them and we interview those people. We get to ask them really fun questions like, what do you like to do in your free time? Or how did you get interested in translations? And so we get to find and talk to wonderful people every day, which is always exciting. And we also do a lot of work with different initiatives within the company. So for example, we have like a blog that we run. So I get to write blog posts during the day. We have a bunch of affinity groups. So we have one for LGBTQIA people. We have one for people of color that Danielle actually is on the I guess board of, and we have a lot of fun making TransPerfect a better place for employees to work.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that a day at TransPerfect never looks the same. It's always going to be something different. And like Amber said, I think because we are still growing, I mean, I think we've only been established for maybe 20 years, but we still have that young, very startup like environment. So like it's us like creating like all of that for the company. And I think that's what's great is that we get to create these affinity groups. We get to like create initiatives and engagement ideas. And I think that's why we love working together on those things.
Girl, we turned 30 this year.
30. Oh my God. Yeah, I saw Phil's email when I was like 20 or 30, but yeah.
We're old.
Yeah. And we're still growing. I think when
Yes.
I started, we had like maybe 3,000 employees, but now we have like over 6,000, and it's just wild.
You all made me think of a question, and I think as a student, let's say I'm applying for a job. How do I get a sense of what the culture is like at the company when I'm applying for a job?
That's such a definitely ask. So during any job interview, you have the opportunity to ask questions about the company as well. But I recommend a few different things. So number one, you want to look at the website, read the like about us page, but also look at the pictures. Look who's represented in those pictures. You know, is it a bunch of white guys in suits? Like, you know, for me, that's not somewhere that I want to work. That feels a little too uptight. So there's a lot of ways that you can kind of assess that just from doing your own research. And then you also want to ask, you know, do you enjoy working here? Is this, you know, what keeps you at the company? Does the company have a focus on diversity and inclusion? So all kinds of questions like that can help you better understand the company culture. And also you as a person should kind of know what you're looking for in a company culture so you can kind of determine whether or not that's a match. If you're looking for more of like the straight-laced, I want to wear a suit every day, I want to work in finance, more power to you, couldn't be me. But if that's what you're looking for, then that's what you should see reflected back from your interview questions.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I think that, you know, as students, sometimes you think about like we're putting into these places, we don't always have the choice. When you get to college, obviously you can choose the kind of environment. So you can apply the same strategies to be thinking, what are you doing after high school? You have the choice to go where you want to go. The same goes for the job. Obviously, at the job, you're looking for a few other things. You know, you could be part of a great community in a great environment. Maybe it doesn't meet your goals, your financial goals. You can't. So you got to keep looking. But sometimes, you know, pay is not everything. So the community makes it definitely worth it. So you just got to adjust your goals for those particular areas. So I know we're bumping into time. So Ms. Schaefer, I just want to send it over to you for any last minute questions we have with this group. If not, I could always think of more questions.
Yeah, they don't have any questions at this point, but thank you ladies for all the wonderful advice and sharing your testimonies.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it was super exciting talking to you all. And if you want to learn more about the work that we do, we're happy to come back.
That's awesome. Well, thank you all. And if you could leave one piece of advice, go back to when you were in 7th grade, what would be one piece of advice you would tell yourself?
Oh God, so many things. I think the number one thing I would tell myself is that what you are going to do has like, there's no straight path to get there. Like, just be happy and take jobs that make you happy and go to a school that makes you happy, and everything will work itself out. I think I put so much pressure on myself from a very young age to, know what I had to do. And I went to college for forensics, graduated with a degree in opera, got my master's in a totally separate field, and now work in a field that has nothing to do with any degrees that I have. So I think, just do what makes you happy in the moment. And like, you can always figure your way into new roles and down new paths.
Yeah, definitely don't sweat the small stuff. I know that can be a little daunting, especially when you're so young and you have so much of life ahead of you. But where you are 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, it's going to look completely different. And you'll always land on your feet, and you'll always find a way. And as long as you are doing what you love, finding what your passions are, then you'll be good to go.
I'd say you guys have so much more to experience just before applying to college, but in life in general. And I think the best piece of information that I can give you is to be open-minded, but also try to select a college that does not focus on just one discipline or two disciplines. Like, for example, when I first applied to college, I went to John Jay College of Criminal Justice. When I got there, I decided, oh my gosh, like I took an anthropology course and I fell in love with it, but I couldn't major in it there because it wasn't one of their core disciplines. So then I had to transfer out and go to a school where there were just more majors to choose from. So I'd say select a school where there are several subject areas that you can study and possibly find passion for, and that doesn't limit you from where you can go from there. So I think that's just so important in terms of just your future. So yeah, I think that's the best thing I could tell you. Also, my junior high school years were my favorite school years. So just, try to just get involved with as much as you can and, soak it all up. I think those grades are the funnest for me, at least.
Well, this has been awesome. So thank you for sharing, and signing off now.
Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
everyone.